What say you, Bart Keeler?
Well, it feels good, John. I heard a stat, I think the day before the game, so that would have been, Monday, that since the 2022 World Cup, the U.S. men's national team has played more games with an interim head coach than a real head coach.
Oh, wow.
Some would argue that we haven't played any games with a real head coach, but I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying what other people are saying.
Your rim shot, man. You got to set me up for those things.
But no, I think this is hopefully the first step toward building toward being successful at the 2026 World Cup. And I think the other thing that this does is finally put pressure on players to start performing at both club and country. Because that has been, John, I think the thing that's plagued this team for the past 2 years is it was almost a weird sense of complacency. And okay, well, we did our job at the 2022 World Cup. We'll do it again at the 2026 World Cup because we did it that one time. The goal now is that Mauricio Pochettino comes in and demands better. That's the hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel, for the first time in a very long time, that we are headed in a truly positive direction and an effort to improve the program and improve individual players in the program and hopefully regain the excitement this team had after 2022, maybe going into it. And more importantly, bring in some new fans because they see that this federation is taking the program seriously by hiring a manager that people around the world, in the profession, out of the profession, people who played for him, all respect. And that is, to me, the biggest positive of this. It's just the eyes you're bringing to the program, the expectations you're setting on the program by hiring a guy like Mauricio Pochettino.
And you look at, obviously, the pedigree is there. You look at some of the locations. The patience from the front offices are not. This is a deal that is laid out. It's like, look, contract signed through the 26 World Cup. Here's your deal. And unless the wheels completely and totally fall off, this is you. This is your locked in. We're going to let you cook. We're going to let you do your thing. So Matt Crocker flies to Barcelona 48 hours after the Copa final, brings the bottle of red wine and a kitty for Argentinian steak. I mean, Matt Crocker, first date behavior from Matt Crocker,
man. That's funny because I felt kind of the same way that I was like, oh, he did his research, right? Like any man should do before going on a date with a woman. Find out what her interests are, find out what her, in my experience, I only have limited experience, but anyone going on a first date should understand their likes and interests of the person that they're about to go on a date with and hopefully woo them with said likes and interests. Flowers are great, but I mean, I've never known anyone to turn down Argentinian steak. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yes.
But I think that, you have to give Matt Crocker a lot of credit, right, John? Now, granted, he's sourced from the same location, but bringing in two of the most respected coaches in their profession, albeit from Chelsea, that is still a big get, right? And obviously now within the span of we're still within the span of a year. He has brought in the best women's club coach, maybe top 3 women's club coach in the world, and one of the most respected men's club coaches to coach the international programs. Now, John, at the same time, I think we are allowed to be slightly, not skeptical, but concerned.
Wary, yes.
Where he does not have international management experience. Same with Emma Hayes. However, and I'm not saying this will be the same result, but the thing that Emma Hayes has that I think Pochettino has as well is the understanding that a plan and a process are going to translate from no matter whether it's club or country. But what Emma understood that I hope she can help Poch, which they do have a working relationship of sorts, is that process does have to be, the timeline has to shrink. And that's really the biggest difference, right, John, is the goal is to maybe the goal now is to make a quarterfinal at 2026, maybe a semifinal. I do want to say that the goal has never been win. I know they'll say that internally, but really the goal has never been win. The goal is to do well, have your best showing, right?
Right.
The timeline to get to that does compress because he doesn't have that many windows before the World Cup to get this done.
Yeah.
But I have faith that a man who has been able to take every team that he's worked for and improve them greatly will have an idea of what that process is and how to make that timeline work for the international game. Also, John, I think it needs to be said, he has international playing experience.
Yes.
And I do think that helps when we're talking about how is he going to make that change from club to country or club to international in a coaching realm. Well, he's played. So he does understand what it means to go to battle for your country and what it means to, A, play in a World Cup, and B, the importance and the weight that there is wearing that that crest on your chest.
How long do I have you, by the way?
I got like one more, maybe two more questions.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Who do you think, off the top of your head, would benefit the most from the roster that we currently or the roster that you currently see?
So me personally, because my stress levels go down. But
yes. Yeah.
On this roster, John, I do think that there are guys who I think it goes two ways. I think the first group are guys. The first group is guys that have not been getting looks, but have been playing well at club level, and those are guys. I think we saw one of them last night. To be honest, Marlon Fossey. Maybe not the best performance. I don't think anyone was great last night, but a guy who has been steadily working hard in the Belgian top flight league, right? The Belgian Pro League. Maybe not your most ideal league, but a top flight league. And he gets the call up and he gets the start. So a guy like Fossey, I think hopefully we see more from guys like Haji Wright. Again, guys who are playing consistently. And to be honest, I think a guy that we saw last game, Patrick Schulte, a dude who is starting week in and week out. I think guys like that have a lot to benefit. I don't think I have said, and I still believe there's not like some random dude who just like will somehow appear, right, and take us all by storm. Now, I do think there are players, Diego Luna might be a great example of someone who now becomes more prioritized in the process, right? Does Diego Luna help you win a World Cup? No, but does he possibly make your midfield options better when you don't have Weston McKennie, when you don't have Tyler Adams? Maybe. And maybe he will get rewarded for his good club play. So that's the first group. The other group of guys are the guys who aren't playing a whole lot of club. And I'm hopeful that a guy like Pochettino, who has experience managing at the highest level in Europe, can help guide them to making better career decisions about where they're playing. Mm-hmm. So guys like Gio Reyna, Leia, Matt Turner, Ethan Horvath, they maybe need someone to say, look, I need to see you playing week in and week out for your club to justify continually putting you in these starting positions at the national team level. Now, obviously, Gio Reyna and Tim Weah are maybe two of our 5 or 7 most talented players. So the idea that they would suddenly not be a part of the men's national team is not true.
Yeah.
But there's pressure on them to start performing at the club level, right? And either it's they start winning starting spots at their club level, at their club team. Maybe Gio starts actually staying healthy for more than 3 minutes and play for Dortmund. Or maybe that conversation with Poch, he realizes, hey, maybe Dortmund's not the place I need to. Maybe being at Dortmund, while it sounds good and they're the second best club in Germany, sounds great, but maybe I need to move down a half level, right? Maybe you go to another team in the Bundesliga who's not quite at that Dortmund level so that you can play. And so I think maybe that doesn't benefit them in the immediate sense, right? Like they're not immediately going to get called up and finally looks in starting positions. But I think those guys can benefit from having a man with the playing and managerial experience like Pochettino to help them revive their careers a bit.
And so I cannot let you go without asking about last night. What do you think?
Well, I thought Kamala Harris put in a really good performance. She was steady. She was calm for the most part. I don't think she got ruffled.
Solo striker up top, right?
Sorry, the U.S. soccer game in Cincinnati, Ohio. John, it was a team that was playing without any real stakes. It was a team that was playing without any real, at least to me, it looked like a team that was not playing to win.
Yep. Which
has been a bit of the problem for the past year, it feels like. At least since they won Nations League, right? And even that Nations League, that semifinal was rough.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that has, for the past 2 years, really struggled to get up for games and struggled to put in consistent performances from not just game to game, but within games. And we saw that again last night, a team that is without a real head coach, the substitute teacher. We all know what happens when, the high school class doesn't have the real teacher and the substitute teacher is there and they start acting off a little bit. And it's just a team that doesn't have the pressure to perform at the expected level right now. And again, that is the most immediate change that happens with Pochettino coming in, is you have a real head coach who, in theory, should be demanding higher expectations from this group.
And you don't set yourself up with a performance where you end up with the flukiest of fluky goals.
I do need to point out, though, John.
Yes.
Caleb Wiley came into the game and we scored almost immediately. So I'm not an expert. I'm not a coach. I'm not a coaching expert. I'm not a tactical expert. I'm just saying causation.
Just saying.
A
to B. Yes.
If A, then B, John. If A, then B.
Yes, and when you mentioned Marlon Fosse, the first thing that popped into my head was all that jazz and Fosse hands. I'm like, Fosse. Literally, you see,
different spelling, but yes.
This is what happens when you hang out with someone who is tied to the acting scene in the city.
Well, she has made your life better.
Yeah, Fosse. All right, so keep an eye out for the next Soccer for USPod because Bart's kind of busy in the real world, but it'll be out soon. Now that the world can rotate normally, Mauricio Pochettino has been hired. Be good, my friend.
It's a good day to be a U.S. soccer fan. Let's enjoy it.